Welcome to This Week at Apollo. Today we have Eloi coming back for a special episode. We're going to talk about the Apollo Pro Beta program. So for those of you that don't know, this is the first program of its kind that I know of, at least, where a hardware company releases a product to 150 testers in exchange for a commitment to put a specific amount of miles on those scooters over a specific period of time, as well as participation in surveys and interviews was a requirement for these users so that we could get the feedback from those riders and make any improvements and changes to the Apollo Pro, should they be needed, before releasing it to the public. So we're now at the point where both Canadian and US programs have officially wrapped up. And have we learned a thing or two?
Yeah, for sure. We learned that Canadian are actually not as nice as American people.
Really?
Yeah.
They're defying stereotypes then.
Yeah. Or at least their expectation are a bit higher. We learned a lot of things. There was over 50 slides that we sent back to the factory about the feedback points of things to improve.
50 improvements, you're saying?
50 improvements.
50.
50
Wow.
improvements. And that's just on the hardware side. On the software, there was about 15 main one. So yeah, we learned quite a bit. Some of them we already knew. Some of them are just a life improvement.
Quality of life.
Quality of life, yeah. And some of them I generally didn't know, and it was great feedback, and that just proves the value that you were mentioning about doing the beta to learn what we don't know, basically. So yeah, we can go through them one by one, and we're gonna be showing it on the screen somewhere as well.
Yeah.
So the big one is we started doing the beta group, and we noticed a lot of squeaky suspension. Or at least we thought it was squeaky suspension.
Front or back?
In the front. In the front. The back so far have been flawless. So we disassembled the scooter. We're trying to figure out where it was coming from, and turns out it's coming from the swivel point of the swing arm and the top arm. So where you have that connection and you have the spring here, like this. We built it with simply bushings inside. And that's where the sound was coming from. You have such a big load on this part that you want ideally bearings located there. So we added some bearings in the front. That's what people can see here with the little balls in the front. And well, we did it in the front, so we said, well, we might as well do it in the back, even if we don't have any problems there. Proactively, and it's just going to make it smoother. You can imagine like the whole weight of someone just rotating around the bushing, which is just a middle sleeve, while having a bearings there, it's just gonna be better. So we added 4 bearings at the back to distribute the load. Those are the 4 little blue things that people see at the back of the scooter, and 2 in the front.
Cool.
And that's already a current practice that we do on the Phantom and the City. So that's a big improvement that's going to remove the squeakiness, but also make it much smoother. So that was a big one.
Great.
The other one is mostly tolerance. We wanted to make sure to get the perfect feeling when you close the latch of the scooter. It's such a ASMR thing when you close it and you hear the clack like this. So that some of them have a hook a bit thicker. So we wanted to make it really the right thickness to clip well in place and to last longer, to not have any wear and tear with other components. So we changed that, and also the way that the folding mechanism is mounted on the scooter. Before it was a steel shaft with C-clips. Those can be challenging to remove. So now we put it simple screws that are called shoulder screw. So easier to replace, a better feeling when you close it. It's probably going to last longer as well. So that's very nice. Then
why would anyone want to replace a screw on the folding mech, just out of curiosity? Like maintenance, you're saying, kind of, every couple of years type of thing?
Yeah, for maintenance, or there's also people just crashing with the scooter. When you want to replace those parts, it's way easier when you just need Allen keys compared to like the whole tool to remove the C-clip. There's people that have the folding mechanism clip when it's folded, and they unclip it and it's not folded, and boom, it's gonna bend the whole thing.
So kind of just like forcibly bending it or using it properly.
Yeah.
And then what grade of screws are we using on the folding mech?
So before it was I always forget this one, A210. You remember the classic? We upgraded it to 12.9. So the best
Okay,
one.
so everything's 12.9.
Yeah.
Okay.
12.9 graded and zinc plated.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
That's also a practice, like a standard practice moving
It's a
forward, I
standard
think.
practice. The zinc plated is going to remove any corrosion, so that's very nice, and they're all pre-locked tight, so to remove this from the assembly line QC as well. It's nice when you get those screws and you don't have to think about it.
Yeah.
This and the final touch is going to be a rubber strap around that latch, just as at this point, fourth safety mechanism. So it's a little bit like a Inokim they did. I like this because some people don't necessarily close it all the way on the button lock. So by having this strap is like you could not add even the safety button and it would stay locked.
Right. It sort of removes the user error component.
Exactly. So that's great. The other one is, well, we were expecting that, but people that participated to the beta group and people that's going to purchase the Pro, they are bigger riders. They are on the heavier side, which makes sense. The scooter is built for that. So the spring, we realized that it was not stiff enough. We needed a stiffer spring. So when you are on the scooter, you're not halfway in the travel of the spring already. You still have room to jump.
And even with the adjustment, that was an issue.
Yeah.
Really?
With the adjustment, it was limiting the dampening of it, how quick it's retracting, but we needed just stiffer spring. So to put numbers on this, the spring is 3,500 pounds. That's what it's rated for. At least that's the number that there's on it, but clearly it's not 3,500 pounds. So now it's going to be a 5,000 pounds, so a significant gain on the stiffness. And we tried it, and it just feels way better. So
Yeah.
this couple with the bearings and the front and the back, it's going to feel amazing, I think.
And do you risk losing any of the bounciness or like the cushy feeling that the Pro is
I
known
think it's
for?
going to make it better. It's going to make it more bouncy, and to your point, people can still adjust it with the hydraulic dampening system inside. So it's
So lighter riders are not really missing out on anything by
no,
through this
no,
upgrade.
it should be
Okay.
fine. It should be fine. And I'm 180 pounds, and I was experiencing this as well. So I'm on the lighter side compared to some of our riders. So
Yeah.
it still feels amazing.
Cool.
So that's pretty nice. Then, as people know, all our scooters now are tested for 10,000 kilometers, and I'm pretty proud of that. How do we do that? Well, it's pretty simple. We put a scooter on a rig with the maximum weight and above. Actually, we put 250 kilos on the Pro, and we ride it. We add it on the rig with little bumps 3 times a second.
Maybe we can show a picture of what the torture looks like. Yeah.
It's also available on YouTube, that video that we show every rig. After, I think, 11,000 kilometers, the Pro at the back, the rear plate was showing some wear and tear sign. And keep in mind, it's 250 pounds on the scooter for the whole duration with bumps 3 times a second. So it's more than extreme. Right? So above the weight limit, it's above the regular usage. It's just a lot. So this was caused by the footrest bolt, the way that it's mounted to the top plate. Those bolts, the head is sticking out in the body of the scooter. That's what we see in the slide circle in orange. And this was creating a weakness. So we just, instead of having the head sticking out, we put inner screws inside, so there's no head. You remove them with an Allen key. So by doing this, we're able to completely remove the 4 holes for those screws, making it much stronger. And now it's no longer showing wear and tear sign at the back. So that's great. Again, we didn't see that in the beta group. That was from our FEA and our internal testing. But it's just better to, if we can remove this point of weakness, might as well do it. And that just highlight how important it is to do your internal testing with the rig, the FEA, and the beta group. It's really a three-step process to really identify all the problems. Another interesting one was people love the paint on their Pro. They love the color, they love the finish. It feels so premium, which I totally agree with. And one of the issue was on the rear foot plate, the one that we see on the right here. This is what it's currently is. The rear grip tape is not going all around the rear footrest, meaning that when you put your foot on it, if you have a little bit of sand or rocks, it's going to scratch the paint under it. And people, well, they want to preserve their super expensive scooter, so they were complaining about that. So now we just make the rear foot grip go all around all around it, and that's
Yeah.
just going to preserve it for a long time.
This is one of those points of feedback that we would have literally never guessed unless we had the product out in the wild, right? Like that's when we always say like, okay, there's the theory that we test through FEA analysis and our engineering efforts, and then there's the kind of application of that theory that we test through rigs. But then you add dirt, you add corrosion, you add, water ingress, and you get a completely different combination of results there. So yeah, that was one of those like super obvious, but at the same time, really important improvements.
Because you look at it, you don't think it's going to offer much more grip to the
Exactly,
foot, but
exactly.
having this idea of protecting the paint make total sense. And on my chrome sample, it's all scratched, so I would have loved to have this.
That's why you always wear slippers, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. The other one is something I didn't want to do. I ended up doing because I.
So is this confirmed? It's officially in the final production version?
It's officially, I'm getting pictures and videos, and the molds are coming from this. So I was still debating up to a couple of days ago because I didn't want to do such a big change on the
Yeah.
product now. Because there's a lot of things that can happen with this, and it's a new system that we introduced on the Apollo Go that we released on the first video and the second video. And I'm referring to the locking mechanism that lock into the deck. I still believe that the scooter is way too heavy to lift by the stem. It's better to just grab by the handle in front. But what was happening, and that happened to me, is people want to put their scooter in their car often to go somewhere, to go on a ride, and you want your battery to be full, so you don't want to use it, or even to just carry it around. You bring it to the cottage, the chalet. And by having your handlebar not attached, it was swinging at the back, damaging your car, but also damaging the actual grip handle of the scooter. It was rubbing on the footrest, and even Randy used it for shooting as well. I'm sure that was happening. It's just so annoying. So we decided to add this, and now we finally have a system that is pretty cool with the button compared to what we had on the old City and Air, which just a latch. So we added this, we tested it on like I said, the Go. Now we received the new Explore that also works like that, and it works really well. So we're going to be introducing it on the Apollo Pro as well. Then it was interesting for the beta because it was people close to the repair centers in most cases. So we were assembling the scooter for them. But some people that got the scooter, and I got that feedback before too, they are stripping the screws when they install the headset. So you see the scooter, the headset is not attached to the stem. This is the only assembly required. You put the headset in the stem, you have, now 6 screws to tighten it. And those screws the grade is great, but the head is small, and the hex key to tighten it is also pretty small, so it can be easy to strip. And another problem that we saw is the machining tolerance between the headset and the stem. You can imagine that there need to be like a millimeter between the two just to slip, but you don't want it to rattle and just rely on the screw. So before we added 2 screws first, then we switched to 4 screws for the beta users, and now we have 6 screws. So there's 3 on each side, and the type of screws that we use allow for a bigger hex key, so it's not going to strip. And another interesting thing that we saw is we were painting the part going inside the stem. Now we're just going to leave it bare aluminum, and that's going to allow us to not take the tolerance of the paint into account when we machine it. So before we were saying the hole is 5 millimeter big, we need the stem to be 3.5 because 0.5 of it is paint, so it's going to be 4 and it's going to match. The paint is never consistent like that. So now we're just going to leave it bare aluminum and bring it to like 4.5 to fit in the 5, and that's going to be super stiff. So that's also an interesting thing.
Well, that's a great insight, especially about the size of the hex key being one of the drivers of screws getting stripped, right? Because obviously that's something we can apply on all the other models as well, and eliminate that problem.
Exactly.
Well, we have about a minute left. What would you say are some of the other top 3, if you were to do, kind of rapid fire explanation?
Things that we learned is that the people in all the focus group, I was going with the mindset into the focus group of being destroyed. People were saying, "Oh, we want this better, this better, this better." Over all the groups, people were in absolute love with the scooter. It's the best one they ever tried. It felt like something completely different. Someone said yesterday, our last focus group, it feels like a vehicle-grade scooter, Which is
unprompted.
Yeah, unprompted, just like that, And someone else said, well, it's better than the sum of all its parts, meaning trying to communicate the experience that they feel with the scooter. And that's exactly what we were trying to do, to offer a great experience over more than just specs. And that was beautiful to see.
Wow.
So I love that. To me, the biggest change is going to be the bearing added to the front and back suspension. And it's nice to see that everything we believed in, either the fullness display or the rear rubber suspension that was controversial, even internally, or the drum brake, people all love it. You know, nobody used their brake anymore in the beta group. They all use a regen. So yeah, it's nice to see that program was very tough to do, right? There were internally a lot of resource was put towards it, and it's very nice to see that it paid off. We took a bet on something, and now you, who backed us in the Indiegogo Pro campaign, you're gonna get to experience all of this because of all the people that believed in us for the beta group. So you can all thank them, and I'm excited for the future, in the future beta group as well.
Yeah, that's true. We always say that the Pro is that first scooter that when you buy it, you know, today or yesterday or whenever, you're buying tens of thousands of hours of people who developed it, tested it, wrote it, you know, refined it. It truly is a monumental effort, and you're just now getting to, you know, benefit from the labor that's been put into this product. So really beautiful. I think maybe another suggestion just that occurred to me now is maybe we book a separate episode to talk about the software improvements that will be introduced as a result of the beta program, because I know there's quite a big list of those as well. But otherwise, thank you very much. If anyone here is curious about any of the other refinements, maybe you want to get some more details, let us know in the comments, and we'll be happy to follow up with another video and get you those answers. Oh well, thank you.
Thank you.